Hi, thank you for clicking on the video. As you can see, today we're going to be talking about The Sixth Man. As per usual, if you don't like spoilers and you've never seen this movie before, you should jump off here, go watch The Sixth Man, and then come back. If you don't care, then we move on. So this movie was actually requested by my sister. She had came up with her own little theory for the movie, and she just doesn't have the time to try and piece all the bits of information together for it to make sense. And so she asked me to review the movie and see if I saw what she was seeing, and I 100% did. So I went into watching this movie because I never really fully watched this movie. I've seen bits and pieces of it, I've seen clips of it, but I've never actually watched this movie before until now, until she asked me to. And so I went into it with a very, very open mind, and I did see what she was talking about, and I was able to piece it together rather quickly. But I also saw like some things from a different perspective as well. So I just want to talk about that in this video. So the theory was that there was the brother that came back, Antoine, was actually a demon disguising itself as Antoine, and that's what it was like. It was like a deal with the devil, so to speak. That's the theory she came up with, and I kind of agree. But here's where my opinion differs. I think that it was actually Antoine. So the movie is about these two brothers. They've been playing basketball together since they could walk, basically. And the oldest brother, he ends up dying, and he comes back to help his brother, win all of these games and get to this championship that they really wanted to get to. Like, that was their main goal. It's what they always talked about. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the thing. So let me point this out really quickly. In the beginning opening scene, they play the song Superstition. What's that man's name? By the blind guy. You know who I'm talking about. Shit, I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me probably at some random point throughout this video, and I will say his freaking name. Stevie Wonder. There it is. Anyways, Superstition was playing, and I've never actually fully listened to this song. I've only ever heard it in like movies and stuff, but at one point, like just before like they actually start the movie, there's a line in the movie where it's like, the devil's coming tonight or something like that. So I found that interesting, right? But they're showing the boys when they were kids, and that part means jack shit for the theory. But once they get to showing us them as adults in college, this is my thing. Antoine was not goofy. Like, he had his jokes, and like, he joked a little bit, but for the most part he acted pretty mature from what they showed us. Now we only get a small piece of seeing him while he's alive, and most of it is him playing basketball. But I feel like if he was as goofy as he was when he came back, I feel like that would have been conveyed a little bit more, and it just was not. Like I said, he joked here and there, and I'm sure he had more jokes when he was with his brother, but he was not being a complete goofball like he was when he came back. And I thought that was interesting, for sure. They also they go to this particular like bar, and it's like it's basketball themed or whatever, and he does a trick shot, and first and foremost, he's very confident. He's very, very confident in his ability. They blindfold him. He does a dunk or like a throw, and it lands in or whatever. And in the midst of that, like, they show this, they span across the gate of the basketball part, and there's like this guy just wilding, and I think that was a demon. This is my thing. My theory is Antoine made a deal himself, okay? And he sacrificed his dad to inherit the gifts to never miss a shot, basically. Like he was good at basketball, but he was not as great as he wanted to be. This guy he just didn't miss baskets at this particular point where we're seeing them in college, right? And I think that he sacrificed his dad to have his ability, and I think he sacrificed himself for his brother to go all the way, you know. And there's okay. Let me try and break it down where it makes sense. Okay, I mentioned that thing about the demon at like watching him do the trick shot because I feel like throughout the movie we see monitoring demons. Okay. So when he dies, right? They're in the middle of a game and he goes and he dunks. And it looks like his fucking life force is just snatched away from him. Like, there is no explanation for him dying. It's very weird. Like, the scene itself, it makes no sense for him to be dying. And then when they are telling Kenny that he died, they like, oh, they have no explanation of what was wrong. His heart just gave out. Okay. Let me just, before I keep going, I just want to point out, like, Marlon has always had such range with his acting. Because not only was he fine, man, like, oh my gosh. Like, but, like, that boy, like, not only will he have you laughing, but he can show so many different emotions, and he's really good at giving you, you know, those deeper emotions, because I wanted to cry with him when he found out that his brother died. Like, so he's always been showing us some range. Like, very talented family. But yeah, they didn't have any explanation. The thing about it though is when he died, he literally, like, if you pay attention to that particular scene, he looks like he knows exactly what's happening while he's holding the rim. Like, the moment that his life was draining from him, is like he knew this was going to happen. Another thing that I had peeped is just before that game, he told Marlon, it's going to be a good show tonight, or something like that. This is going to be a show tonight. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, you put on this performance, like, every time you play basketball, because you always go in, you always go hard. So why is tonight specifically gonna be a show? Okay, and he says to his brother, I'll be back. Right? Now, this is the thing. Marlon ends up, he's sad, you know, his team, the team is losing and stuff. He ends up in the gym, and he's looking at the jersey, his brother's jersey that they put up on the ceiling, and he tells him, I need you. You know, I can't do this by myself. And then we see the indicator that his brother is coming, because the jersey, like, moves, there's no wind. And, you know, next thing you know, there's a portal that opens up in this the school. Now, it's specifically this portal, or poltergeist, rather, like, I'm like, this was a poltergeist. It was not a portal. It was way too strong to just be a portal to the spiritual realm. Like, and this is another thing, poltergeists are usually, almost always, negative energies. So yeah, but this poltergeist gets specifically opened in the gym at the school, and so he finds his brother a lot of the times at the school. Okay, now he has traveled away from the school, but mainly the Antoine's ghost, possibly ghost, is at this school, because that's where the portal or poltergeist was opened up. And there's so many different indicators that, you know, this was something much stronger and much deeper than just, oh, the spirit of my brother has come back to help me. Okay, so when they're practicing, the coach is very disappointed. He's like, all right, we done with practice, y'all ain't getting it. And I almost said Marlon, Kenny throws a ball into the ceiling, and he walks off. He don't care, because he's just upset. He just threw it and kept walking. The ball disappeared. which means it went through some type of portal. The ball never came back. We don't see if the ball ever shows up again. I'm gonna assume it never did. But yeah, and this little boy watches this ball just disappear into thin air as well, which is crazy. And after that moment, they have a game, and that's when Antoine first shows up, and he's doing the shit that. Now, I will point this out. Now, at the very last shot, Marlon goes to throw it to one of his teammates, and the ball swivels and goes into the rim. I'm pretty sure what happens there is, it is up to the imagination, but what it looks like what would have been if Antoine was actually alive is Antoine grabbed that ball, did a spin, and shot it in or dunked it in or something. But it's so funny because they're just like, oh my gosh, this magical ball just did a whole loop, and then when it's like this, he threw a dude into like out of the rebound or out of bounds area, like, and back into the game, like. And nobody was like, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. How are they doing this? I would have immediately thought they like was cheating and had strings attached to them or something. Like, why are y'all excited for this stuff, this unexplainable stuff to be happening? Anyways, like, so at this particular game, this first game when Antoine shows up, you can't see him. So, you know, everybody, they like Kenny is confused. He like, bro, I don't know how the heck any of this is happening, but he's hearing his brother's voice. He's noticing the weird stuff, and, you know, goes to the showers. He's in there by himself after this whole team leaves, and he's trying to get dressed. And then his brother starts whispering in his ear, kind of creepily, actually. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, why is you scaring this boy? But yeah, so in the midst of him like, hey, anybody there? His brother ends up getting upset, like, oh, you don't believe that I'm here? And he turns on all the showers and like makes himself appear in the water. This is the thing, like, and he becomes a physical form. I feel like the water is very, very significant, like, in a way of conveying the spiritual connection, right? Because he used the water to come in, and I'll talk more about what I mean by that once I start talking about RC. But yeah, I feel like the water was very significant to and also water is a portal itself, like, for real. So I feel like they were conveying that as like a way to show the acceptance of these connections being formed. Okay, now this is the thing, when he pop up, like, he's smiling in a very creepy way. So that would make me think that this is like a demon just pretending to be Antoine. But the reason why I think it's actually Antoine and he is actually just a demon himself, because he's himself, but it's like turned up a notch, right? Like, he's acting himself, but it's like he got an upgrade, right? And, you know, he's I don't know if you heard that, Dean, but that might have just been a confirmation or something. But he's talking to Kenny, and he's like, well, nobody can know about this. It has to be low key. Proceeds to do everything in his power that's not low key. Like, it's very obvious that Kenny is talking to someone that others can't see and interacting with someone that others can't see. But you told him that you can't tell anybody. What do you expect to happen if you're going out of your way to make him laugh, to have him reacting to you and talking to you and, you know, just interacting with you in general? How is he supposed to explain that? You want people to just think he crazy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, he's going out of his way, acting very, very goofy. He's acting like a trickster spirit, not like how his brother was. That's why I said it's like him, but amped up. Because, like I said, in the beginning, he did say some jokes, but it wasn't like goofball type shit. He was acting like a complete goofball. On top of him acting like a complete goofball, his anger was like on 10. Like, if he got mad, he got mad. And it was like in a very, very weird, unnatural way. Uh, so it gets to a point where, you know, Kenny can't control like how much he's interacting with Antoine. And the team is like, hey, you acting crazy. We don't want you messing this up. We want to win these games. And he's like, oh, I can prove it's Antoine, you know. They have the shortest dude on the team. Antoine helps him dunk. They still don't believe it. They like, no, I've been working out. He like, anything is possible. Like, whatever. You know, he gets so upset that they don't believe that he helped the short guy dunk that he slams all of the doors shut to the school, slams all of the seats shut, and then projects himself onto the screen. Antoine just died. Like, not that long ago. There is no way he would have that much power, that much energy to do all of that stuff as just a ghost. He has to be something a bit more powerful. This is the thing. Demons can do a lot of stuff. They have a lot of power to do a lot of stuff and to interact with the physical realm with ease. Ghosts, some ghosts never learn how to interact with the physical realm because of how much energy it takes to actually do stuff like that. The fact that he was able to do all of that alone shows that he has he has to be something more than just a ghost. Okay. Now he is tripping. Okay, now he was a ball hog when he was alive. That is true. He liked Kenny to line up the shots for him to be able to make them. And fuck the rest of the team. They suck. And he don't care about if they get their time to shine because he's number one. Okay. And he's worse as a ghost. Like, he's not even allowing the team to touch the ball. And they're just like, oh man, I don't know how this is happening. And these reporters are reporting like they're seeing these teammates. Nobody is seeing these teammates touch this ball. There's no way in hell y'all saw any of these motherfuckers touch this ball because they don't even have the chance to open their hands like they are going to touch the ball. And he's barely even letting Kenny touch the ball. He's just doing all of this shit himself. And it gets to the team and they're like, bro, we don't want him doing all of this shit. We need him off of the team. And except for the one dude, like, there was one guy who, this particular guy, I think his name is like Michael or something, Martin Mitch or something like that. This guy was a really, really weird. I don't know if it was just like the actor himself not being able to like hide like the fact that he's just a weird individual in general, like for real, or if that's how his character was supposed to be conveying. But he was giving a little weird vibe. But I digress. Anyways, so they go to Kenny and they like, hey, he's much worse as a ghost. Like, we really just want to play the game ourselves. He's not allowing us to do anything. And he gets upset about that, throws a bunch of shit, like throws a bunch of shit in Kenny's room and breaks a wall. And again, too much power to just be a ghost. But yeah, and they get to the point where finally Kenny has to tell him, hey, this is cheating. We want to win. This is the thing. What makes Kenny get to that point is they're in this game just before the finals, and Antoine knocks this one particular guy on the opposite team that they're playing against into the basketball rim. He fucks up his shoulder. Like, he was going in, he was doing great. This was the start of the opposite team's. He was the star of their team, and he was helping the team a lot. So he got so mad. Antoine got so mad that he knocked him into the rim. And this one thing, he didn't look remorseful at all. Like, he looked proud of himself. Like, very smug look on his face when dude was on the ground, like, complaining about his shoulder. And then when he talks to Kenny in the hospital, he's like, "Oh well, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that." Like, I don't think that he cared at all. He just wants to win. You know what I mean? And Kenny's like, "No, that was too far. We want to win ourselves, and you gotta back off." And he hated that. Okay, this is my thing. When when he goes to leave, like they win the game, they play with just them, they win the game. When he goes to leave, he says, "Oh, they are calling me." Now, this is actually a fact. Demons will refer to themselves as they. If you ever read the Bible, this is a fact. They will refer to themselves as they. And he says, "Well, they are calling me." Mind you, he never mentions his father at all. And there's another thing that I want to say, but let me finish my first thought before I get sidetracked. And he's like, "Oh yeah, they say that I might be able to be in their starting five." This is my thing. I feel like he is talking about demons and talking about being able to help other sports people, specifically basketballs stars, to like be better, or like to become a basketball star, if that makes sense, right? And I feel like that's what he was talking about. Like, and he even says when he's leaving, because Kenny was like saying goodbye, he was like, "No, don't say goodbye, because I'm always with you, and if you don't do this good next year, I'm gonna come back," which means he's always connected. Okay, so I lost my train of thought a little bit, but I'm gonna just keep going. So with that, I feel like he was basically saying, like, I'm still very much so connected. Like, I can pop in at any point and, like, make sure you win, basically, right? And which he basically made sure, like I said at the beginning, that I think he made his deal to be, he's going to make sure Kenny goes the distance, right? Which leads me to talk about the handlers within the film. I think their coach was Antoine's handler. And I think RC was, or is, Kenny's handler. So at the beginning of the movie, RC just kind of pops in just before Antoine dies at this bar. Now we get the information that she's been keeping track of specifically Kenny. Like, she writes her article talking about the team, talking about Antoine, but she feels the need to specifically point out Kenny, right? So she's been watching him. They've never seen this woman around. Now, this is a reporter who's on this campus, and y'all never seen this woman around. Okay, interesting. But, just so happens to grab Kenny's attention at the bar this night, and he spills beer. Now, this is like one of the first signs of the liquid, like, being significant in the film, right? I feel like the beer falling into her purse, like, it goes all the way down. Like, what type of unstable ass bar do you have? Like, why is it so uneven that beer even floated all the way down there? Fix that terrible fucking bar design. Just saying. But so, the beer slides all the way down to her purse, and I feel like that was in and of itself showing a negative connection between Kenny and RC right away. Like, it's showing the liquid content is showing the spiritual connection, but the fact that it was beer is showing the toxicity or the negativity that is attached to it, because beer is not good for you, because alcohol. You get my way? Okay, so she pops up, beer gets in there, and then just so happens he's talking to his brother and the friends, and his brother's like, "I bet you can't get a woman's number," and he's like, "I bet I can," and he just so happens to point RC out. Okay, I think that Antoine knew that RC was his handler before he died. Okay? And then, you know, she like makes it aware that she is willing to communicate with Kenny, but she don't make it easy on him. She makes it pretty damn easy, but she don't make it easy for him that night. Okay. So she's introduced, and then Kenny dies. And who's at the front of the group when Kenny is driving off in the I'm not Kenny, when Antoine is driving off in the ambulance? RC. Like she looked like she was trying to make sure that he was not okay. Like almost like she looked a little too invested, right? Now, there's a point in the film where she's like trying to do an article and she discovers that Antoine is the ghost that's helping them win and stuff. But I just feel like that's a whole last ploy. I know she's by herself. Look, the movie ain't supposed to be about this theory, okay? But that is just a ploy. So that's where we gonna leave it at, right? She noticed that Kenny was acting weird immediately. Like, she was the first one to be like, who the heck is he talking to? Like, you know what I mean? So she automatically knew that he was talking to somebody. And then Kenny sees her again. Wait, before I jump there, she goes and talks to him. This is like just before, like, no, just after he's talking and saying he needs Antoine back, right? And she, for some reason, is at the gym while he's saying this. And she looks like pleased that he's asking for Antoine back. And when she goes to talk to him, all of a sudden she's waiting for him and she's prepared with an umbrella. All of a sudden it's going to rain. The moment that they start talking, it starts raining very hard. Now she's under the umbrella already. And Kenny isn't. And he's getting soaked by the water. And then she offers the umbrella. And I think by him accepting and going underneath the umbrella with her was the initiation of, okay, she is now your handler. But mind you, he just called on Antoine to come back. When Antoine came back, he did not want Kenny fucking with RC. And I think it's because he wanted to be able to control Kenny as a demon. He wanted to have more control and be able to act. He felt pleased being able to play in the actual games, and so he was like, well, I don't want him to have this handler because then she has control. You know what I mean? But I think that's all that it was. Like, that umbrella scene was his initiation to her being his handler. And he didn't even know it. Like, he's just so unaware. And that's the third link of the water being significant and connecting the dots of the different contracts. I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyways. But yeah. So she notices that he is talking to someone, and there's another scene that pops up, and he asks if someone's sitting next to her, and she was like, oh, just the invisible man. Why do you specifically say invisible man? Unless you knew that he was specifically talking and interacting with his brother. Okay, and even with his interactions with RC. Now, mind you, Antoine is saying that nobody should know. And again, like, you're making it very obvious that Kenny is acting weird. Like, he goes in to kiss her after their first date, and it looks like he's being blocked by a freaking wall, an invisible wall. And it's actually a quite funny scene. But, like, she opens her eyes from trying to kiss him, and it's like, oh my god. You know, and it's just very awkward. And that's why I said the scene where she sees the video of Antoine's spirit being in the video making the shot. I think that was just a ploy because she already knew. Like, he was acting weird. He's talking to nobody. She makes a joke about invisible man, and you know, like, you're making it very obvious that you clearly know something as well. Okay. And Yeah. Even when he told her, like, now mind you, this was after she found out. But even when he was like, when Kenny is like, I need to tell you, Antoine's here, you gotta believe me. And she's like, okay, And this is the thing, because RC was gonna give this, I don't know if it was her professor. I don't know if he's just like a reporter that she works for. There was really no context of the relationship, but she was gonna give him this article that she wrote about Antoine's spirit being attached to the team or whatever. And the only reason she decided not to is because he said, "Oh, I believe she'd sell her mother," and then that just stopped her. She didn't care about Kenny's feelings at all. And just, oh, you think I would sell my mother out? Yes, clearly you would, because if that, like, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say when it comes to RC. I definitely feel like she was his handler. The reason why I think the coach was Antoine's handler is because he also noticed the weirdness with Kenny. And the thing about it is, when he went to go talk to Kenny about stepping up for the team, he was like, your brother's still right here. Mind you, that's what Kenny ends up using to encourage the team to go out there, and they end up winning. He's like, we gotta take Antoine on the court with us and have him in here. Okay, so I feel like the coach was like trying to like also nudge him into stepping into that role of becoming that star player. Okay, and when he's talking to Kenny about it, Kenny is actually wearing a bandana that says 555 soul on it. And it's interesting to me. I thought that detail just was interesting. I don't know if it actually means anything, but you're telling this guy that his brother is a part of him, and then he has this bandana on it. It almost looks like a fucking phone number, almost. So it was interesting. And there I feel like there was actually another demon sighting as well at the game, the very last game. And they show like really quickly just a random fan who just acting very sporadically. It was very just unfitting for the moment. Like, people's cheering, but the way this particular person was acting, it was a little bit like unnatural. Another thing that I noticed pertaining when it comes to like monitoring spirits or monitoring demons is they had these particular sports reporters talking over the games, and then they switched out to these two other ones, and one of them was just acting very, very, very sporadic, very, very, very chaotic, like talking really fast. And it was again one of those things where it was like it felt a little bit unnatural or like weird, like, I don't know. So I don't know if that really means anything, but it felt like that it was. And this is when they're on their winning streak, and Antoine is very much so in the game. And instead of him being like, man, this is weird, he's talking about how amazing the things is. It's almost like, let's take everybody's attention away from how weird this stuff actually is by talking about how amazing and how this is crazy that this is even possible, but anything is possible type of energy. Like, that's the type of energy that he was bringing, and it felt like he was placed there as a distraction from what was actually happening, but yeah, I think that is all that I have to say about this particular movie. I want to point out like another way that I viewed it. That's the theory in and of itself. But I was also noticing when I was watching it that it seemed like they were showcasing how sports, in this case basketball, can be rigged, right? Like, they had no real reason of why they should have won, and yet these unexplainable things was going on and they were winning. So outside of the spiritual aspect of it, like, I feel like they was also like kind of just like showcasing how rigged some of these games can be, or honestly, all of them can be. And yeah, I also feel like there's probably a metaphorical thing there as well when it comes to like just put like having your heart in the game, and even though someone you cared about is no longer able to be a part of it, you know, you carry that within you because they put that fighting spirit within you. So I feel like there was also just that metaphorical sense in the movie as well. With that being said, that's all I have to say about the movie. If you made it this far, I want to say thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I feel like I probably did like skip my thoughts a couple times throughout this video because I had so much that I wanted to say, and so, you know, sometimes I just like accidentally jump over thoughts even if I'm mid thought. So I apologize for that. But if you made it this far, why don't you tell me if you like the film? If you don't like the film, tell me why you don't like the film. But if you like the film, what was one of your favorite Marlon moments in the movie? Like, tell me that. Okay. With that being said, until next time.